to start things off with religion, this is a video response to Child's Play Ninja about the video he did on atheists and can atheists be juggalos. Head PE said something. You know, he talked bad about religion, as most punk bands do. Head PE is most definitely punk, and when they were discussing, things about religion, which Johnny Rotten has done with Public Image Limited and with the Sex Pistols, they were dogging on religion and this and that. But he also said that Juggalos were an equal opportunist group. I stood dead silent as everyone around me was in an uproar at this Twisted show with Head PE opening. I just kind of stood there like, really? Are we really? Because we will judge one another no matter the beliefs, no matter the race. There are racist juggalos out there. There are Christian juggalos. There are dark carnival juggalos. There's juggalos who like ICP but are more fans of Mikey Clark, who are more fans of Twisted, who are more fans of Blaze, who are more fans of ABK, but they still like ICP, but they're bigger fans of these guys. So it makes you think. Yeah. Violent J in his book, he said he saw God. I just finished his book about a week ago. I bought it from a friend of mine behind the paint. A lot of good stuff in it. A lot of good stuff. It was definitely eye-opening. But as far as atheism goes, as far as atheists go, as far as Satanism goes, so everyone is clear. A Satanist is somebody who worships themselves. But you don't even have to really worship yourself to be a Satanist. You're putting yourself first. You're caring about those who deserve your compassion. I think a lot of us are more Satanists than we'll ever admit. I think that it is the basic key to survival. Me first before somebody else. That's what's embedded into us. Religion could come from so many different things. You can find it from a book. You could find it from somebody else. You could, like what my friend Vladimir explained to my friend, you could hit the floor, have some sort of like traumatic experience from just standing in the bathroom, and all of a sudden just be like, wow, God touched me. And this happens to some people. Violent J was discussing his panic attacks, which was fear, the chemical that reacts to fear, like when you're about to get hit by a car, floods into another porium of your brain and causes you to get all sorts of mentally fucked up. When you're praying, your brain does the same thing that somebody who is clinically insane, what their brain does. It does the same thing. It's got the same chemical compound. It's got the same chemical reaction. In case anyone's noticed, a lot of the juggalos are fucking nuts. Like I said, I've discussed about, I've done several videos about Psycho Bob and Crazy Billy and Nutso over here and Crazy over here and Shallow Dude over here. But when you look at the grand scheme of things with religion, we were originally equal opportunists. As CPM was talking about in the 90s, because I've done my research. Like I said, I didn't come by until the Wraith era. However, I was listening to the music before the Wraith dropped. The Wraith just happened to be the first album that I bought. I was listening to all sorts of different music. My friend had me go through it the best way he knew how, and that was to get a bunch of songs on CDs and have me listen to them. From ABK, from Blaze, from Twisted, from ICP, from Psychopathic Ritis, from Doc Lotus. All those guys. Things of that nature. So you're looking at different aspects of how people got into the music. As far as asking for a Bible to be autographed, that I wouldn't necessarily say that should be turned away, because maybe this person's Christian and that's how they took the meaning. Now you're dictating what people are taking from your music, which is wrong. That would be like you coming out with an album and say, and all this and that. But because ICP is at their plateau, they are up on their steeple, and they're able to sit there and push people away because they have enough fans. But if you've got how they start off with 20 fans, and they asked to get their Bible autographed, would they have turned it away at that time? Probably not. Violent J and Shaggy stayed again and again and again. We worked harder than anybody else to get where we're at. So right now they're sitting on their throne, proud of what they've done, looking down at everyone else going, we made it this far. We did this and we did that. Makes you think. By the standards that people have discussed with ICP, you follow what they say, you follow what they say. But if they're contradicting themselves and contradicting what they're saying and lying about certain things, which is what they do, they have lied. You're going to have some people like, follow what they said on this and whatever. So you've got Christians over here, and God believers over here, you got Satanists over here, and Luciferians over here, and people who just don't even care over here, pretty much agnostic. Now you've just branched out from just Christians and whatever to a whole bunch of other groups. What do you think presidents do to get elected? They try and get every single person they can to vote for them. Music artists, they try and reach out to a master audience of Juggalos or of whatever fan base they're at. Right now we're on the topic of ICP and what they're doing. And as CPN once stated, which I'm horrible at math, but because of my autism, I'm very good at noticing patterns, and I've noticed a pattern with these guys. Which is simply this. They'll say one thing, they'll do another, apologize for this and that, do this, but all's forgiven. They claim they stated they're the ones who created Psychopathic Records from Alex Abyss's basement, his mom's basement. They did all these things to start up and rise, and then they said that we had a following and shit like that. I've also noticed that their fans are more apt to charging a stage, but the Dropkick Murphys, they'll let people jump up on the stage with them. But for some reason they have a different bearing. So the Dropkick Murphys can have people up on stage with them. Nobody charges the stage. Not everybody in the audience jumps the stage. Everyone makes the choice on what they do at this show. Never gets shut down, never nothing. There's a Hollow Wicked where a bunch of Juggalos just stormed the stage and they went sorry and they closed the curtain. For some reason, people want to touch their hand or stand next to them or be on stage with them so bad that they'll leap there to get it. But Dropkick Murphys fans don't do that. As far as I'm concerned, the Dropkick Murphys are even bigger than ICP is. One, they're more socially acceptable. So a lot of people listen to them. A lot of people go to their shows. I've seen Murphy shows. I've seen ICP shows. I've seen Twisted. I've seen Lotus. I've seen underground punk rock bands. I've seen Public Image Limited. Everyone was down on the floor. No one was up there. And this is Johnny Lydon, mind you. Johnny Lydon, also known as Johnny Rotten, from the Sex Pistols. And he's up there. And this one guy, he's like trying to reach up and he's trying to get Johnny Rotten's attention or whatever. Johnny Rotten fucking got right on that mic. He looks right at him. He says, "You are not the only person here. Get out of my face. Go back. You're not the only one here. You are not the center of attention. I will not pay attention to you." And he turns and he looks to the right side where me and a couple of others were standing. He just had this big smile on his face. Sure, I'm going to get shot for this one at some point, but I think a lot, I'm not saying all, a lot or most Juggalos nowadays, I'm not going to speak for the ones from that started out. These ones, I think they're a little immature for concerts and shows, for what's socially acceptable and for what's not. And this is what ICP has created. See, I'm a big fan of intelligence. I'm a big fan of proof, and I'm also a big fan of science. However, there are things that have happened to me that I could never explain in a million years. I wouldn't even try to. I wouldn't try and sit there and explain why something happened or why something did not happen. I wouldn't, I wouldn't attempt to because it'd just drive you crazy. It'd drive me crazy. It wouldn't do me any good anyways to sit there and focus on it. But yeah, I've seen things and I've heard things and I've had strange dreams and whatever. But you pass it off as something that again could be neurologically wrong. It's not necessarily God talking to you, like a bunch of juggalos and all this and that. Where I because of Shangri La, we're well, let's hope there's a Shangri La. And that's all you can do is hope. As long as you have hope, what harm could that possibly do? I'm fine with atheist juggalos. I'm fine with Scientologist juggalos, agnostic, whatever, Christian juggalos. I don't care. But a wise man once said, I don't care, you could write the Ten Commandments on a wall, you can break them down into three, but thou shalt keep thy religion to thyself. But unfortunately, we're such an outspoken country because of our First Amendment that people are starting to get agitated, people are starting to get worked up, and people are being more vocal. And because of signs of the times and signs of the apocalypse or signs of Armageddon or whatever you want to call it, the end days, people are from all over are getting up and saying, find God, find God. I was just on the phone with my grandmother the other day. Told her how I'm doing. I told her about the charms I've been designing. I told her about the merchandising. I told her about the plans for our music label, the shows that we're going to, the shows that we're hosting, the gathering. I told her about all these things and how financially stable everything's been. And I told her about the concert of ICP that I'll be going to at the Palladium. And she kept telling me it was Satan's music. It was Satan this, it was Satan that. So I read to her a verse from Violent J's book that says, we want juggalos to be in Shangri-La. We don't want them to suffer in hell's pit. And if I could do one nice thing on this earth, it would be to try and save lost souls. And yeah, granted, I'm a lost soul myself. But if I could, and I'm not that great of a person, but if I can make myself better, hopefully others will follow. And she still said that I was a Satanist. So religion has no bearing because you have different religious beliefs. Those who believe in God, those who believe in Jesus, those who worship the Virgin Mary, which are in fact Catholics, which Catholics should be thrown away for Christian beliefs anyways because they worship so many things. The sixth saint that they pray to in Italy is Jesus. He's the sixth one they call upon when they're in some sort of struggle or some sort of financial issue or there's some sort of crisis. But past that, you've got Seventh-day Adventists, who I'm here to tell you guys who are worried about burning to death and being tortured for all eternity. Seventh-day Adventists have actually proven through the words of the Bible, not necessarily proof like, oh my God, it exists, it's here. No, but they did the translations and how they went, well, it doesn't mean this because it never states it. The term purgatory is never stated. Like, purgatory is a false thing the Catholics made up so that way you could work and get better and get up to heaven. And then you've got the theory that, you're going to torture and burn for all eternity. And there's this guy crying out to Jesus saying, let me go warn my family. And Jesus went, no, because then you won't go back into where you're going from. Well, of course I won't, Jesus. Yeah, that's why you're staying put in these flames. That was never found either. As a matter of fact, it says you will be sent to the lake of fire and erased from eternity, or something that translates to that, meaning you go into the lake of fire, you don't feel anything, you just disappear, you never existed. But there's a problem with that. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed, so your soul gets thrown into the flames and then disappears. Well, it can't be true if it's gonna keep going on and on and on. Your energy doesn't just poof gone by. But his defense was, if it's Jesus, if it's God, and God can do anything, wouldn't he be able to destroy your energy and erase you from existence? Yeah, but I guess he could also cure cancer, so. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna say this. I don't care what your point is, but if you're agnostic, atheist, I don't care what your political views are. But you got to remember, the most important thing is not to stop questioning. I will quote Albert Einstein time and time again. Albert Einstein was not wrong, and any of the things that he's proven and any things that he said, the man was intelligent. And yeah, I look to Einstein. I look to George Carlin. A lot of these people who had good perspective on things. A lot of people who are intelligent, who are, yeah, older people. You know, look to the eldest, you know. ICP and Shaggy, they're still young-ish. You know, we're still young. Most of us. I'm sure there's an 89-year-old rocking the ICP right now, which would be kind of cool. But you look to people like that. You know, ICP even said they weren't prophets. So it could have been, not only has Violent J proven he's got mental instability, that Violent J has all these mental things going on with him that are not right. Taking his word, I wouldn't. I would not look to Violent J and go, look, man, I need advice. You're having a panic attack. All right, some other time. Some other time. You know, okay, you're like fucking freaking out right now. You look like you're about to black out. He's like, you know, that doesn't seem like one of the wise men you go to. But for some reason, people think that by associating with ICP or by doing these things, that it'll be some sort of spiritual guidance up in the heavens, up in the mansions. Which is funny because the Bible also mentions mansions. And they actually even give the measurements of the mansions. Kind of off, but okay. So, I don't know. You guys know? I don't know. There could be God, you know. It's like Billy Goddell said. You know, he's like, you know, when I die, it's going to be like the horse tracks, man. I'm tearing up my ticket like I'm at the horse tracks going, if I had Jesus, who'd you have? You know? Who thought it would be the frog in Africa? You know, you don't know what God it'll be, and there's 50,000 religions out there. Someone's going to be wrong. But I guess what's important is your faith. As long as you have your faith is not a terrible thing. I mean, it's not the best thing in the world to be leaded blindly, which the Bible strongly speaks again. Do not lead blind or do not walk blind, whatever. But if you have your beliefs that leave you to be in comfort, fine. I'll keep my beliefs to myself, you keep yours to yourself, and I'm happy. And Juggalos should be more accepting of that. But I blame people who there's a quote. There's a quote, and it'll top off everything. It is best to keep your mouth shut and have people think you of a fool than to open your mouth and prove them right.